In a school filled with students with supernatural abilities, there's one imposter among them who's secretly trying to kill everyone without being detected. The story begins on an island where gifted students called the Talented are trained to fight against monsters known as the enemies of humanity. But we meet a boy named Nano who thinks he doesn't fit in since he's not like the rest of them. He gets picked on by a boy named Mogu who has the power of fire, but another boy named Seiya thinks they shouldn't bully him, because even though he doesn't have talent, he was still chosen like the rest of them. Their teacher notes that they were gathered on the island for special training, since they're the only ones who can defeat the enemies of humanity that appeared 50 years ago, but the students have already heard his speech countless times. A boy named Koya transfers to their class, and Mogu tells him to reveal what his power is, but he refuses to tell them anything. A girl named Nana also transfers to the class, and she reveals that she has the power to read minds, telling everyone she's honored to join their class. The teacher tells her to sit next to Nano, and she suddenly asks him if the others are bullying him, which surprises him, so she mentions that she read his mind. Mogu interrupts them and calls him an enemy of humanity, because even though he has no powers, he's still at the school. Nana thinks about how the enemies of humanity look like monsters, but Nano notes that they can also look like people, so Mogu pushes him down and tells him to reveal himself. Nana tells him to stop, since she knows that he's only using Nano as an excuse to ask her on a date, but she tells him she isn't interested, which embarrasses him. Nano shows her the research he's been doing on the enemies of humanity, which impresses her, but the teacher tells them to stop talking in the middle of their class. She knows that he wants to select a class rep, so he asks everyone to see if there are any volunteers, but all of them want to take the position. Mogu thinks the strongest one among them should be their leader, and Seiya agrees with him, but Nana nominates Nano for the position. She explains that he's smart and studious, and none of them have even fought an enemy of humanity, so Nano should be considered for the position. But Koya thinks they should fight to decide who takes the position, so Mogu and Seiya agree with him, but Nano can't believe what he's gotten himself into. He thinks about how he was born into a wealthy family, but his upbringing is different from the others, which is why he couldn't make friends. His father told him that he should always try to act as a leader, so when he came to the island, he told everyone he would lead and protect them, but they all laughed at him. As Nano prepares to go home, Nana wishes him luck for tomorrow's fight, but he doesn't plan to participate since he knows that he can't win. She keeps following Nano and asks him to show her around, so he takes her to the cafeteria, where he reveals that the state covers all of their expenses. He asks her if she ever feels insecure after she received the red paper, because when he got it, he was immediately brought to the island before he could do anything. He asks her about her power, so she notes that if she focuses, she can hear a person's inner thoughts, but she doesn't think it's amazing. She reveals that she used to go to school on a train, but hearing everyone's thoughts almost drove her nuts, which is why she couldn't make friends. He takes her to the sea, where she mentions that he wouldn't be on the island if he were talentless, but he notes that his power is useless. He explains that a lot of people hide their powers, since there are rumors that the enemies of humanity have already infiltrated the island, but she suddenly gets pushed. She's about to fall down the cliff, but he manages to save her, and she tells him she just felt a gust of wind. He wonders if an enemy tried to kill her, but he realizes that he's too close to her, so he quickly steps back. As they're going back, she tells him he should be their class rep, since his mind is the purest out of all the students. She knows that he wants to be their leader deep down, and that he actually idolizes his father, but he's annoyed that she keeps reading his mind. He reveals that he feels violated, since his father sent him there without asking him, and he thinks he isn't leader material, since he's just trying to gain his father's approval. She notes that he wasn't thinking about that when he saved her, but he becomes annoyed hearing this, and he tells her to go away. At night, Nana comes to his room to give him his watch, and he's surprised that she was out looking for it, even though it's almost their bedtime. The next day, Mogu and Seiya prepare to fight each other, and the teacher tells them that the first person to fall loses the match. Mogu rushes towards him, but Seiya scratches his face instead. He covers his fist with flames and tries to hit Seiya, but he freezes Mogu's foot, causing him to fall to the ground. Everyone congratulates Seiya, but Mogu refuses to accept defeat, and he shoots a huge fireball at them. Nano realizes that Nana is about to get hit, so he steps in to block it, and she wonders what happened. So he reveals that his talent allows him to nullify everyone else's powers, which amazes her, and everyone thanks him for saving them. After that, Nano can't believe that he was selected as their leader, and he owes it all to Nana, since she made him realize what he truly wants. She starts asking him questions about his power, wondering if he can neutralize anything by touching it, and she grabs his hand to test it. She starts to cry, since it's the first time she isn't hearing his thoughts, but she suddenly pushes him off the cliff. He manages to grab onto a rope, but he doesn't understand why she tried to kill him, since he thought they were friends. She reveals that the first time she saw him, she knew he was an outcast, because even though he was reading a book, he wasn't turning the pages. She also knew he was kind because of the cat's scratches on his neck, and she noticed that his watch was a gift from his father, since it was oversized and expensive. But she knew that he didn't have a great relationship with him, since he forgot it in the cafeteria, and she reveals that she doesn't actually have the power to read minds. He can't believe what's happening, and he thinks she's an enemy of humanity, but she notes that the talented are the real enemies. She explains that she needs to get rid of him, since he's about to become an enemy commander, and he loses his grip and falls down, as she tells him to die for the sake of humanity. We learn that 50 years ago, the first enemy of humanity appeared, and it killed countless people as it destroyed a city. But instead of being a monster or an alien, it was a human who had gained supernatural powers, and after that incident, children with talents started appearing all over the world. Seeing the destruction they were causing, the nations decided to create a police force with gifted individuals, and their goal is to stop the talented from causing chaos. But their plan failed, since many of them used their powers for personal gain, and they also started attacking the scientists that treated them like lab rats. After 5 years, humanity won the war against them, but as time passed, people's way of thinking changed, and the world started to accept the talented. But they're actually isolated in the so-called national training academies, where everyone thinks they're being trained to fight the enemies of humanity. We see Nana as she gets a mission from the committee to eliminate all the talented on the island, because if they worked together to fight the authorities, it would mean the destruction of the world. We return to the present, as Mogu asks Nana if she's seen Nano, so she wonders if he thinks something happened to him. But they get distracted as they see the students struggling to complete their training, since they're afraid to jump into the pond, so Seiya freezes it, which annoys the teacher. Mogu starts arguing with Seiya, and as Nana watches them, she thinks she needs to eliminate them, since they could end up destroying the world. After that, Nana asks Seiya about his power, and she wonders if he can freeze her, so he claims that he can freeze anyone, but she knows that he's lying. She wonders why he didn't do it to Mogu when they fought, so he explains that it's because he thought it would be unfair, but she thinks he's easy to read, since he touches his hair when he's lying. They see Mogu about to fight another student, who thinks Nano is their leader, but a boy named Shibusa suddenly knocks him to the ground. Mogu is afraid of him since his power is dangerous, and Shibusa reminds him that he hates slow and loud eaters. Seiya tells Nana about the rumor that Shibusa can stop time, and she sees a message on her phone, which mentions that his potential kill count is 800,000. Nana decides to join Shibusa for lunch, and he mentions that he doesn't like eating next to loud eaters, but she tells him he's also noisy when he's eating. She suddenly spills a glass of water, but he manages to put it back on the table, and she wonders how he was able to do that, so he tells her he can stop time. But she knows that it isn't what he did, and she asks him if he's okay with her telling everyone what his real power is, so he reveals that he can go back in time and change the course of events. She already knew that because she saw the water cup fall off the table, so even if he could stop time, there's no way he could have put the water back in the glass. She also noticed that when he punched Mogu, the tie of the boy he was bothering suddenly got fixed, which means Shibusa went back in time before Mogu grabbed the boy. Shibusa is impressed since she's the only one who has ever seen through him, and he thinks they can work together to change the world, but she tells him he could destroy their future if he isn't careful. He assures her that he never messes up, and he believes that he's a champion of justice, so she pretends to agree with him, but she thinks he's delusional. Koya arrives and asks Shibusa if he can use his power to find out what happened to Nano, which surprises Nana, since it's exactly what she was worried about. She acts like she doesn't know anything, and notes that Nano might be taking a sick leave, but Koya mentions that Nano never came home last night. He notes that he saw her with him, so he asks her where they went, since she might be the last person to see him, and she assures him that Nano was fine when he was with her. She wonders if he's trying to make her slip up, and she asks him why he's caressing her hair, so he notes that he can't help it since his sister also has pigtails. She knows that she needs to take control of the narrative, so she asks him if he thinks Nano is an enemy of humanity, and notes that she's heard rumors that they have already infiltrated the island. She suddenly moves away from Koya, saying she heard a strange voice coming from his mind, and they ask him why he's interested in Nano, so he mentions he's just trying to make friends. After that, Shibusa goes to the dorm with Nana, and he travels to the past to confirm that Nano didn't return. She notices that he's exhausted, but she thinks he must have other limitations that prevented him from finding out the truth. She asks him how far he can travel back in time, so he reveals that his limit is 1 day, and she thinks she can't attack him without a plan, since he could go back in time and kill her. He uses his power once again, and when he returns, he asks Nana if she went to the cliffs with Nano, so she admits that she did, and he goes back in time to follow them. When he comes back, he mentions that she saw him, and explains that he was forced to return to the present since he can't stay in the past when someone sees him. She realizes that he's getting closer to the truth, so she suggests continuing their investigation the next day since he's already exhausted. But he's determined to continue, since no matter how hard he tries, he can only go back 24 hours. He wonders what time she went to the cliff with Nano, but she doesn't say anything, so he wonders if she doesn't want him to see what happened there. She tells him the time, so he uses his power once again, and when he returns, he mentions that he saw her holding hands with Nano, but he was forced to come back since she noticed him. She knows that he's telling the truth, because her memories have changed, and she made sure she pushed Nano off the cliff after Shibusa was gone. He apologizes for doubting her, but at night, she heads to his room and takes him to a forest, telling him it's where an enemy of humanity eliminated Nano. She starts to cry, and notes that she was too afraid to fight, but Shibusa can use his power to save Nano, so he decides to go back in time. But we see that they were standing on top of the frozen pond, and she thinks Shibusa should drown since he can't swim, but nobody will find his body since Seiya froze the pond after that. The next day, Mogu wonders where Nano and Shibusa are, and Nana thinks she should proceed with caution, since it will be difficult for her to do anything if they find out there's a killer. Seiya asks her what he's thinking at the moment, but she notes that if he really loves his girlfriend, he shouldn't push her against the wall, so he wonders how she knew he was dating a girl. Koya notes that Seiya's right side is wet from the rain, while the girl's left side is soaked, which means they came to school using the same umbrella. Nana asks Koya if he wants to have lunch with her, so he tells her he isn't hungry, but she keeps following him. She notices him going into a shed, and after he leaves, she goes to check it out, and sees that he came there to feed a cat. After that, she tells him there's something on his head, so he thanks her for pointing it out, and he asks her to be his friend. He takes her to his room, and she thinks looking at it will give her an idea about the kind of person he is, but she's shocked to see how much stuff he has there. He starts playing a game with her, and he knows that she's popular, so he asks her how he can make friends like her. He notes that everyone always tells him he's unapproachable, so she tells him he looks like an F-boy, but he has no idea what that is, so he asks her about it and writes the explanation in a book. He reveals that he easily obsesses over things that pique his curiosity, and notes that he has a sister who came to the island before him. But she went missing, so when he saw that no one was looking into where Nano had gone, he decided to take matters into his own hands. He thought the island was a boot camp for the talented, but they aren't being trained at all, which makes him wonder if they can really fight the enemies of humanity. He shows her a manga, which makes her excited, because she loves the heroine in the story. He notes that he also likes the heroine, but he thinks it's tragic that she had to defeat her friends, who turned out to be enemies of humanity. Nana notes that the heroine had to do anything necessary for her mission, and she touches his hand, thinking she can kill him without hesitation. As she prepares to leave, he shows her Nano's watch, which shocks her, and he takes her to the cliff where she killed Nano. She asks him what he's doing with his shirt, so he notes that he needs to fidget with something while thinking, and he tries to grab her hair, but she refuses to let him touch it. He asks her what she was doing when Nano went missing, so she mentions that she hung out with him but they went their separate ways. Koya notes that when he was exploring the island, he came across the broken safety rope on the cliff, and found the watch on the rocks underneath. She thinks Nano wouldn't take his own life, since he was brave enough to save everyone from Mogu's attack. But Koya thinks Nano might have left behind his watch, to help everyone find the person who pushed him off the cliff. He notes that according to the books, the enemies of humanity are supposed to have huge fangs, which is why he doesn't understand why they would push Nano off the cliff. He mentions that all the information they know is based on rumors, and there's no research being done, but the government is still holding a training camp for the talented. She thinks he's 100 times scarier than Nano, since he's smarter than the others, and he asks her if they should tell the school about Nano. But she thinks it will cause panic, and he agrees with her, which is why he decided to get her help. He notes that he really wants to be friends with her, so she asks him to reveal his power, but he tells her to just read his mind. He assures her that he isn't suspicious of her, since she doesn't have any reason to hurt Nano, and he explains that he just wanted to tell her that there's a monster on the island. The next day, Nana sees that Koya's potential kill count is unknown, and she remembers when the committee told her not to rely on the data they have gathered. They explain that it's difficult to measure the powers of the talented, and reveal that they had to bomb a city just to kill a person who released a virus into the atmosphere. Koya and Nana tell the teacher about Nano, and Koya tells him to call Nano's parents, but he reminds them that they can't communicate with anyone until graduation. He explains that they can't tell the others about Nano, since it would cause unnecessary confusion, and he decides to ask the higher-ups what to do. Koya feels bad that no one can do anything about Nano's death, and Nana tells him about the cat that Nano used to feed, which confuses him. After she leaves, he wonders why she isn't even sad that Nano passed away, and he thinks something weird is going on, because he isn't even sure if the enemies of humanity exist. He goes to the shed to feed the cat, but he realizes that it isn't there, and we see Nana standing outside. She thinks he needs to be eliminated, because he's getting close to the truth that all the talented on the island are sitting ducks waiting to be eliminated. After she visited Koya's room, she realized that something was wrong with his sense of smell, so she filled the shed with gas, because she knew that he wouldn't smell it. As Koya turns on the stove, it causes the shed to blow up, and as he drags himself out, Nana goes to get help, but he grabs her leg and stops her. She notices that his wounds are healing, and he doesn't understand why she's the first one there, or how she knew that he was in the shed. He starts to find her suspicious, and he wonders why she's so shocked, since if she can really read minds, she would have already known that he's invincible. He tells her he can't smell anything since he was born that way, but he still considers her his friend, so he tells her to read his mind as he thinks about his weakness. The next day, Mogu asks Koya if he's the one who burned the shed, but he tells everyone he was attacked, and Mogu refuses to believe him. Koya asks him if he knows where Nano and Shibusa are, but he notes that he doesn't care about them, and he thinks Koya is responsible for what happened. Nana knows that she needs to take care of Koya before doing anything, since he's making everyone suspicious that there's a killer among them. Two girls tell everyone about a love letter, which was given to a girl named Michiro, who becomes embarrassed as they read it, but she suddenly notices that Nana's leg is injured. Michiro licks her wound, which startles her, but she notices that her injuries have healed. She thanks Michiro for healing her, but the others tell Michiro to be careful when she uses her power, since it reduces her lifespan. But Nana realizes that Michiro's potential kill count is 150,000, and as she comes out of the bathroom, she realizes that Koya is stalking her. Meanwhile, Michiro goes to meet the person who sent her the letter, but Nana appears behind her, and tells the two girls who are hiding in the bushes to leave. She tells Michiro they were just messing with her, since they were the ones who gave her the love letter, which makes her cry, since she thought they were her friends. She asks Michiro to have lunch with her, since she wants to thank her for healing her, but we see that Koya is watching them. After spending time with Michiro, Nana realizes that her power is to heal others by licking their wounds, and she can even heal herself as long as her tongue can reach it. So Nana thinks she needs to target her back, but as she leaves her room, she notices Koya sitting outside, and he explains that he's just trying to keep her safe. She reminds him that he's in the girls' dorm, but he explains that he considers them as his little sisters, and he even offers to sing her a lullaby. He wonders where she was going that late at night, and as she starts playing music, he goes outside her window to see what she's up to. She runs out and goes to see Michiro, telling her an enemy is about to attack her, and Koya hears a scream, so he goes to check it out. But he's surprised to see Nana bleeding from her back, and she explains that she knew an enemy was about to attack Michiro, so she came to help her. He asks them if they saw where the enemy went, but they mention that it was invisible, just like the ones they read in their books. As the other girls arrive, Nana thinks about how she could no longer hide the deaths of Nano and Shibusa, so she's made everyone believe there really is an enemy of humanity, and she thinks her plan will allow her to dominate the school. The next day, Koya keeps asking Nana and Michiro about what happened last night, and Nana knows that it's because he's confused about the situation. He asks Nana why she didn't come to get his help, even though she knows he can't die, so she notes that she was confused and just wanted to help Michiro. She thinks it might have been trying to eat her, but he doesn't understand why someone invisible would run away, just because a few people came into the room. She asks him if he suspects there wasn't an enemy of humanity, and we learn that he has a theory that Nana stabbed herself, but he doesn't know why she would do it. So he wonders if there really was a third person involved, but she's confident that he won't be able to find her motive, and the others hear about what happened. So they're worried that the enemy will strike again, but Mogu tells them to put their faith in him, and Seiya notes that it's time to choose a new leader. Nana mentions that they should accept that Nana might be dead, and she tells everyone she hates herself, since even though she can hear people's thoughts, she couldn't hear him screaming for help. Michiro proposes that Nana should be their leader because she saved her life, and the others agree with her. After that, Nana gives Michiro a notebook, telling her to ask everyone about their abilities, and Koya apologizes for suspecting Nana. But she can tell that he still finds her suspicious, and he thinks she was stabbed by a sharp object like a gimlet, so she notes that it might have been a claw. She knows that a gimlet stands out too much, and if she keeps using it, everyone might start to wonder why an enemy of humanity is using human tools, so she prepares poison to use on Koya. Meanwhile, Koya is convinced that Nana stabbed herself because she knew that Michiro would save her, but he can't tell anyone about it without proof. That evening, a student named Tsuneki talks to Nana and reveals that his ability allows him to see the future. He shows her a picture where she's the one killing him instead of an enemy of humanity, and she realizes that he's a psychic photographer. She notices that they're in the PE supply shed in the picture, while the watch on his hand is pointing to 10 p.m., which means it's when she will attack him. He asks her to explain herself, but she claims that she has no idea what's going on, so he tells her to come with him. They head to the cafeteria, and she mentions that it's already closed, but he kicks the door until the staff opens it. He tells her about the time he got a vision that he would get a 0 on a test, so he studied hard to change his future, but he got a fever on the day of the exam. He shows her a picture where she's covered in soba, so she changes her order, but the waitress slips and drops it onto her. He tells her that no matter what anyone does, they can never change the future, and he wonders why she wants to eliminate him. She tries to tell him he's mistaken, but he shows her how he caught her pushing Nano in 4K, so she realizes that he knows what happened. She realizes that the reason he hasn't shown the pictures to anyone is because he's trying to blackmail her, but she knows that he doesn't have any friends, so no one will believe him. He wonders if she's an enemy of humanity, but she assures him that it isn't true, and she notes that she'll do anything if he lets her clear her name, so he tells her to be his girlfriend. He makes her give him a back massage, and she thinks it's her chance to get rid of him, but as she presses his back, he notes that he won't die until what the picture shows comes to pass. She prepares to leave, but he tells her to stay with him since she's his girlfriend, and after he falls asleep, she notices that the camera in front of him has started printing pictures. She realizes that his power only works when he's asleep, and she's shocked seeing one of the pictures, so she decides to hide it. She takes pictures using the camera, which makes her realize it isn't a magic item, and it can only print pictures of the future because of Tsuneki. The next day, he's glad to see that Nana didn't attack him while he was asleep, but he isn't worried about it since she can't change the future. He tells her they need to make sure they don't go towards the PE shed, but she asks him why it matters if the future can't be changed, so he notes that he wants to have fun before the time comes. He tells her to clean the room, but he suddenly gets close to her, and notes that he usually takes 5 pictures every night, but there are only 4 pictures today. So he searches her and finds the one she's hiding, where it looks like something horrible has happened to her. She explains that she hid it since she doesn't want to push the misunderstanding any further, and notes that she wouldn't attack him if it means she will die, but he tells her the future is absolute. She tries to convince him that they can change the future, so he notes that he'll go to the shed at 10 p.m., and he'll trust her if nothing happens to him. She tells him to take a bath, while she prepares to use poisonous needles to take care of him, but she hears other students outside the room. She realizes that they will hear Tsuneki if she attacks him now, so she just changes the time on his watch, and as he comes out, he wonders if he'll attack her out of self-defense. But she mentions that in the picture, it looked like he was the one roughing her up, since her clothes were falling off. She decides to leave, and he tells her that if she doesn't show up, he will reveal her pictures to everyone. At night, Nana goes to the shed and prepares the poison needles, but she accidentally drops them, and Saniki enters the room. She decides to use a rope to strangle him, but he manages to break free, and as he hits her, he reveals that he has already corrected the time on his watch. He starts taking off her clothes, and he doesn't feel guilty since she just tried to kill him, but she grabs his hand and pushes him away, revealing that she has already poisoned him. He can't believe the future he saw isn't turning out to be true, so she reveals that it was a fake picture she took when he was asleep, and she takes out the real picture. It shows Koya and Michiru also standing in the room, and they both arrive just as the picture predicted, so Nana tells Michiru to save Saniki, and notes that she'll explain everything once he's okay. Koya mentions that after asking everyone where she is, they learned that Saniki was telling everyone she's his girlfriend, so they went to his room. She wonders if they saw the photo of her strangling him, and Koya knows that Saniki could see the future, but he shows her the picture where she seems to have been eliminated. He asks her what it's about, which makes her relieved, and she thinks she can get out of the situation. She wonders if he found other photos, and he notes that he didn't see anything else, but he wonders if she's hiding something. So she notes that Saniki had photos of her in the bath, and Koya thinks she killed him when he attacked her, but she assures him that she didn't do anything. Michiru realizes that Saniki doesn't have any wounds, so she thinks Nana is innocent, and Nana mentions that she felt a presence around them, thinking it might have been an enemy of humanity. She prays for Saniki, but Koya wonders why the enemies of humanity keep using different methods to eliminate them, and Nana thinks they're in no position to talk since they're all freaks. Nana goes to Saniki's room to look for the other photos, but Koya appears behind her, so she explains that she's just there to get her things, since she stayed there last night. He starts looking around to see if Saniki was on any meds, because they thought he might have been sick, but he doesn't find anything. He still doesn't understand why Saniki ended up being eliminated, even though in the picture, Nana is the one who lost her life, so she mentions that his predictions might not always be true. Koya thinks the picture may have been taken by someone other than Saniki, since the rope is doubled over, and he explains that in the case of murder, it's usually wrapped around once. He thinks Nana took the picture herself, because if a person who believes his fate is fixed saw the picture, they would let their guard down. Nana goes to her room, but she notices that a picture is missing, and she realizes that she left it on Saniki. We see Michiru as she tries to revive Saniki, but she ends up finding the picture of Nana pushing Nano off the cliff, and Nana suddenly appears in front of her. She realizes that Michiru is confused, and Nana plans to eliminate her if she tries to hide the photo, but Michiru gives it to her since she doesn't understand what it means. Nana claims that she read Saniki's mind, and realized that instead of seeing the future, his power was to turn his dreams into photos. So the picture she found was just a dream he had, because he was jealous of how close she was with Nano. Michiru agrees to keep it a secret, and Nana asks her what she was doing with his body, so she explains that she was trying to revive him. At Saniki's funeral, Koya asks the teacher why he hasn't called the police, so he mentions that there are no cops on the island. Nana tells Michiru she shouldn't use her power carelessly, since it reduces her lifespan, but she doesn't care about it, so Nana notes that she'll be sad if Michiru passes away trying to resurrect someone. Koya tells everyone Saniki wasn't sick, and notes that he was eliminated by an enemy of humanity according to Nana, so she tells him to stop scaring everyone. He plans to perform an autopsy on Saniki's body, and she takes him outside, asking him why he can't accept that Saniki was sick, but he just tells her to read his mind. She mentions that she already knew he was invincible before he was blown up in the shed, but she notes that even if there really is a serial killer, there was no reason for him to become a target. He's confused because if she knew he was invincible, she wouldn't have tried to end his life before taking care of others, since she would have known that she wouldn't succeed. He still plans to perform the autopsy, so she yells at him to let Saniki rest in peace, but he suddenly gets out of his coffin. We see that a student named Shinji is using his necromancy power to control Saniki, and a girl named Yuka tells everyone to calm down, since Shinji isn't a bad person. He reveals that he can control the dead and draw out their memories, but he doesn't know anything about their soul, so Nana acts like she can hear Saniki's soul suffering. Shinji puts him back in the coffin, and Yuka once again tells everyone he isn't a bad guy. The next day, Nana asks Yuka where Shinji is, so she mentions that he usually ditches class. She thanks Nana for looking out for him, and she mentions that he has no friends since he's pretty dark, so he tried to show off in front of everyone at the funeral. At night, Nana sees Yuka with Shinji, and she realizes that they're a couple, so she plans to eliminate them together. Koya suddenly appears in front of her, so she notes that she heard their inner voices and decided to follow them, and he mentions that he's on patrol, since he thinks Shinji is the killer's next target. He notices them, so they come out of hiding, and Koya warns them to be careful since there's a killer on the island. Shinji notes that he and Yuka are just old friends, but Yuka thinks there's something more to them, and he tells everyone to forget what they saw. After he leaves, Koya asks Yuka about Shinji's injured hand, so she notes that it was burned 5 years ago, when he tried to save people from a fire that happened when they went to see a movie. She mentions that he didn't care about himself, so she went in to save him, and it's when she found out that she had super strength. Koya is surprised that he's a nice guy, since necromancers are usually evil, so she tells them Shinji is an introvert, which is why he rarely comes to class, but she wants to show everyone his real self. The next day, Nana goes to take a nap in the infirmary, but she sneaks off to the boys' dorm, where she takes out Shinji using one of her poison needles. Meanwhile, Koya goes to check up on Nana, but he notices her standing outside the window, and she takes them to where a cat is stuck, saying she heard it call for help. She asks Yuka to use her superhuman strength to save the cat, but she apologizes since she can't use her power at the moment, so Koya uses cat food to lure it out. Yuka reveals that she's allergic to animals, and she can't use her power when she sneezes, while Koya wonders if a cat rescuer like Nana can really be a cold-blooded killer. At night, Nana goes to Yuka's room, and she prepares to eliminate her, but Shinji suddenly restrains her with his superhuman strength. Nana knew that something was wrong with Yuka's story, since she said she broke in through the emergency exit when she saved Shinji, but it wouldn't have been possible since the door opens outwards. She knows that Shinji is already dead since his skin is cold, which makes her realize that Yuka is the real necromancer, and she's using her power to control his body. She notes that he always had a bad temper, but he was gentle with her, and she starts telling Nana about the time she spent with him. She reveals that when the fire broke out at the movies, she was able to get out before him, and she waited outside thinking he would be alright. But the next time she saw him, he had already passed away, so she used her necromancy power to keep him with her. Nana realizes that Yuka was controlling Shinji at the funeral, and she mentions that it's because she wanted to show everyone he's a hero, so Nana thinks she's insane. She saw Nana eliminating Shinji through his eyes, and when she saved a cat, it made Yuka think she might have been mistaken, but she now realizes that Nana really is a killer. Shinji takes her poison needles and gives them to Yuka, who notes that she'll tell everyone about what Nana did, so she becomes nervous. Yuka wonders if she also has something to do with the students who have gone missing, so she admits that she killed them, but notes that even though she's a murderer, she still lets the dead rest in peace. Yuka mentions that she can't beat all of them, but Nana explains that she doesn't need to defeat her, since she can just tell everyone that Yuka is the real necromancer. She notes that they will tell Yuka to prove that her power is super strength, and when she can't do that, they will stop believing in her and listen to their class leader. Nana is worried since Yuka has her poison needles, so she proposes to keep everything a secret and promises to spare their lives if Yuka lets her go, but she reminds Nana that she has the upper hand. Nana offers to tell her what Shinji is thinking at the moment, so Yuka lets her go, but she notes that he's telling Yuka she should eliminate her, but she suddenly runs away. He tells Yuka that Nana is right, since if she takes care of Nana, she can control her body and use her power to hear his thoughts. Nana makes them run after her, but she wonders why Yuka has Saniki's necklace, so as she hides in the bushes, she asks Yuka if the pendant she's wearing contains Shinji's remains. She reveals that she needs something the person touched in their life to control them, which is why she took Saniki's necklace, but Nana wonders what will happen if she takes it away. She suddenly jumps out of the bushes, but Yuka orders Shinji to attack her, so Nana pushes her to the ground and runs away. She doesn't understand how Yuka can keep following her in the dark, but she suddenly gets attacked by zombies, as Yuka reveals that there are a lot of bodies buried in the mountains. She reveals that one of them has night vision, so she can see everything in the dark, and Nana wonders why there are bodies buried there, thinking it must be the work of her predecessor. She runs away and finds a shed, where she thinks about how Shinji doesn't come to school during the day, and his room was also dark, so Yuka might not be able to use her power in the daytime. She thinks she just needs to hide there, but she knows that if she keeps running from the talented, it will mean that they're superior to her. Yuka manages to find Nana, who tries to bait her into attacking, but Yuka revives the bodies inside the shed. They're about to get Nana, but the sun finally comes up, and Yuka mentions that she needs to keep her zombies away from sunlight, so she locks Nana in the shed and retreats. During the class, Koya asks Yuka if she knows why Nana is absent, so she notes that they were up late talking with each other. At night, Yuka returns to the shed and realizes that Nana is gone, but she thinks it's impossible for her to have escaped. She thinks Nana is just pretending to be one of the bodies, but she's shocked when she realizes that Nana really broke out, so she starts looking for her. Yuka returns to the dorm after failing to find Nana, who suddenly appears behind her and pins her to the ground. She takes out the test paper that Shinji ripped up because he didn't get a perfect score, and she knows that it's the real relic Yuka is using to control his body. She can tell that the necklace isn't important to her, since she never bothered to fix its clasp, and she also noticed that when she tried to grab the pendant, Yuka protected her back pocket instead of it. She forces Yuka to follow her with Shinji, and she takes them to the cliff, where Yuka asks her how she escaped from the shed. So she reveals that she just walked out the front door, and notes that she wanted Yuka to catch her trying to barricade the door, since she was actually unscrewing the hinge to make sure she could escape. The only things she was worried about were if Yuka attacked her without waiting for the morning, or if the sunlight didn't hinder her ability, and Yuka is shocked that Nana risked her life to test her theories. She wonders what Nana would have done if she didn't return to the dorm in the morning, or if she came back at night, so Nana notes that she would have stayed hidden until she had the chance to attack. Yuka falls to her knees and starts to apologize, saying she will do whatever Nana wants if she just gives Shinji back to her, so she tells her to give her back her poison needles. She follows Nana's instructions, but she still throws the test paper off the cliff, which makes Yuka cry, and she notes that all she ever wanted was to be with Shinji. Nana asks her where she put her tea the day she went to the movies with Shinji, so she notes that she put it in the armrest, but Nana knows that she's lying. Yuka told her that the boy on her right spilled his drink on her, while Shinji jumped up on her left and spilled his juice, which means the boy was using her armrest, so she didn't have anywhere to put her tea. She acts like she just didn't remember it correctly, and notes that she might have held the tea in her hands, but Nana reminds her that she said she was clinging to Shinji since the opening credits. She asks Yuka if they wore their uniforms on weekend dates, because she said that when she saw Shinji's body, she noticed that his uniform collar looked tight. She starts to panic, and notes that they went to the movies on a weekday, so Nana reminds her that she said something about crepes at the farmer's market, which only opens on the weekend. Nana thinks Yuka was stalking Shinji, since she used his test scrap as her relic, which makes her lose her mind, and she reveals that she was the one who started the fire. She blames the girl who stole him from her, revealing that she killed him since she wanted him all to herself, and she wishes that she could have gotten a different relic. But he didn't let her near him because he hated her, and as Nana ends her life, she doesn't know why she pretended to throw away the relic. She wonders if she would have spared Yuka if she were innocent, even though her potential kill count is over 500,000, but she throws away the real relic and stops thinking about it. She wonders if she should have used Yuka to see the memories of the other bodies, since it's the only way to find out what happened on the island, but she tells herself she should only focus on her mission. She runs into a girl named Hafu, and Nana wonders why she's grabbing a snake, so she explains that she needs to feed on live reptiles to function. She reveals that her talent allows her to turn her body fluids into poison, and she notes that it makes the boys go wild, so Nana lies that she also spent the whole night with a boy. She asks Hafu about her friend Kaori, who has the ability to teleport, so she reveals they had a fight because Hafu took her contact lenses without permission. But Nana tells her that maybe Kaori regrets yelling at her, since she's already right behind her. Hafu turns around, but Nana suddenly stabs her with a poison needle and promises to give her the antidote if she tells her the password of her phone. Hafu gives her what she wants, but Nana doesn't save her and takes her phone away. She goes to Kaori's room, where she puts the contact lens case on her desk, and she closes the window so that the wind won't blow it away. After that, she goes to school and runs into Koya, who asks her about Yuka and Shinji, so she cries and notes that Yuka is dead because of her. She takes him and a few other students to the cliff, where they're shocked to see Shinji's body, and she notes that Yuka was the real necromancer. Nana reveals that Yuka was the one who killed Shinji since she wanted him all to herself, but when Nana told her that he still loves her, she jumped off the cliff since she wanted to be with him in heaven. Nana tells Mogu to burn Shinji's body, and she asks Koya if he's okay with it, since she thought he might have wanted to check his body, but he tells her to go ahead. She shows them the other bodies as well, and he notes that it's okay to burn them, but she thinks he's losing an opportunity to find his sister, since she might have been one of them. Seiya thinks they should tell everyone about Yuka, but Nana notes that she was innocent, since she was just being controlled by an enemy of humanity. Koya tells everyone that before they believe Nana, they should ask themselves why she's always missing when someone dies, but they suddenly hear her scream. They go to check it out, and they find Kaori's body, so Michiru tries to save her, but Koya tells her to stay back since it might be dangerous to touch her. He tells Michiru to get the medical bag from his room, and as he looks around, he notices the contact lens case. As he drinks the liquid in it, he falls to his knees and screams in pain, which makes him realize it's poison, but he doesn't die since he's immortal. He notes that Kaori wears contact lenses all the time, and her killer must have known that, so they used it to eliminate her. Michiru reveals that Kaori's power is short-distance teleportation, and Koya knows that Nana was already aware of it, but she doesn't understand why it matters. He mentions that Nana wasn't in class, so she could have poisoned Kaori's contact case, but Michiru doesn't understand why Nana would want to do that. After investigating the other students, they learn that Kaori had a fight with Hafu, and Michiru notes that Hafu's power is to turn her saliva into poison, so Koya thinks she must be the murderer. They go to her room, but she isn't there, and Nana notes that she might have been possessed by an enemy of humanity, since she heard the same voice that possessed Yuka when she was with them in the forest. But Koya mentions that she didn't hear the enemy's voice when Kaori was eliminated, even though she heard them when they attacked Michiru, which means Kaori was killed by a human. They return to Kaori's room, where he asks Nana if she was friends with her, and she's about to say no, but she stops herself and notes that she visited Kaori once to lecture her about bullying. She's annoyed at herself, since when they first came to the room, she opened the window without struggling, even though it's faulty and sticks to the left side, so she thinks Koya already knows that she's been there. Michiru tells Koya to stop blaming Nana, and shows them that the last message sent on Kaori's phone was at 3 p.m., and since Nana was with them at that time, she couldn't have sent that text. But instead of being convinced that she's innocent, it confirms his suspicions that she's the killer. As Mogu and the others arrive, Nana tells herself to stay calm, since there's no way Koya has evidence against her. He notes that Nana eliminated Hafu in the morning, and she poisoned Kaori's contact case before coming to school. He mentions that Hafu left class to hunt reptiles in the forest, and since Nana was already there, it makes sense to be suspicious of her. She doesn't understand why he thinks Hafu is dead, so he notes that the reason she made sure Mogu burned all the bodies is because she had Hafu among them. He thinks she messed up Hafu's face to hide her identity, and even put a boys' school uniform on her, which makes Nana worried since it's exactly what she did. He tells everyone the reason she was trying to make him search the bodies was because she knew he wouldn't recognize Hafu, since he wasn't aware of the murder at that point. He thinks she planned to distract them with the corpses so that she could get rid of Hafu's phone, since she knows that it would link her to Hafu's death. She explains that even if she were the killer, there was no reason for her to send such a text to Kaori, so he mentions that there was a chance that she would fail to poison her. Kaori knew about Hafu's power, so she would have been hesitant to use the contact lenses if they suddenly appeared back in her room, which is why she sent an apology text from Hafu's phone. She asks him how she could have known the phone's password, so he notes that she must have read Hafu's mind, or even cut off her finger to unlock it. He reveals that he hasn't taken his eyes off her, which is why he knows that she didn't have time to get rid of the phone, and he points out that she's been putting her hands in her pocket. So she wonders if he thinks she typed the message without looking, but he notes that she had already typed it, and all she had to do was send it. He searches her body to confirm his suspicions, but he doesn't find the phone, which annoys him. Nana thinks about how at first, she thought about ditching the phone before Koya and the others arrived, but she knew they would suspect her if she sent the text too early. Her second plan was exactly what he thought, but she ended up going with the third option, which is to put a zombie's finger over the phone, so that when the sunlight hit it, the zombie's finger would melt and send the text. She was worried because things could have gone wrong, but she decided to take the risk, and considering what just happened, it turned out to be the right decision. Michiru notes that Koya has hurt Nana, so he apologizes to her, but she thinks she failed them since she let Kaori be killed. She acts like she hears Hafu's spirit, which is telling them to work together and never suspect anyone again, and Nana mentions that if she ever finds out anyone is in danger, she will rush to help them. Everyone's convinced that she's innocent, and Koya makes peace, but he still feels like something is wrong. At night, Nana thinks about getting rid of the poison, and she knows that her mission is about to get difficult because everyone will be on alert. As Michiru arrives, Nana tells her she plans to stand guard, but Michiru offers to do it instead because she thinks Nana needs to rest for a while. She realizes that Michiru is a good person at heart, but she tells herself to stop thinking about it since the kids on the island are all enemies of humanity. Michiru suddenly puts a knife to Nana's neck and asks her what her real power is because she doesn't believe that Nana has the power to read minds. She thinks Michiru is worried that her real power is to turn her body fluids to poison, and Michiru looks away for a moment, and Nana knocks the knife out of her hand. She knows that even if Nana tries to tell everyone about what happened, they won't believe that a sweet person like her could do something like that, and the other students suddenly arrive. So Michiru tells them that everything's okay, and she goes with them, which annoys Nana. The next day, Michiru shows Nana a gift box and asks her to read her mind to see what's inside it, but Nana mentions that she can't use her power at the moment since she's tired. So Michiru whispers in her ear that she will keep asking her about it, and when she keeps making excuses, it will expose her in front of everyone. Meanwhile, Koya tells the teacher that since a lot of students are dying, he doesn't think it's the right time to be taking classes, but the teacher wants to know what Nana thinks since she's their leader. They see Michiru asking Nana what's inside the box, and she notes that there are a lot of students in the class, so she's having a hard time concentrating. She guesses that it's a greeting note, but Michiru reveals that it's a bath set, and Koya points out there's a note stuck to her back. It mentions that she loves Nana, and the others reveal that they were thinking about it, which must be why Nana thought a note was inside the box. Koya wonders who was behind the prank, but he knows he needs to gain everyone's trust since he messed up yesterday, so he notes that he's opening applications for them to become his best friend. After school, Nana takes Michiru to the cliffs, where she wonders where the real Michiru is, since she knows that she's an imposter. She knows that someone has transformed into her, so the imposter notes that he made the right call transforming into Michiru, because he has noticed that Nana has a soft spot for her. We learn that the person who transformed into Michiru is a student named Jin, who offers to make a deal with her, and he tells her not to worry about Michiru, since he just put a sedative in her drink. He takes her to a cave, where he asks her if she still has her poison needles, but she acts like she has no idea what he's talking about. He just wanted to tell her that he has a lot of cards he can play to take her down, but his only problem is that he needs someone to help him, and she offers to solve his problems if he tells her what happened 5 years ago. He reveals that he was a classmate of the zombies, and he's glad that she defeated Yuka, because she dug everyone up. She realizes that he's been spying on her, and he notes that she once saved his life, which made him take an interest in her. He asks her to tell Koya he's tired of drinking milk from the vending machine, which makes her realize he was the cat from the shed, and he wonders if she's a good person since she stopped to save the cat that was stuck in the drain. He reveals that 5 years ago, his classmates started to kill each other, and the first one that went missing was a boy like Nano, who was killed by a girl in their class. The reason for her action was that she believed she was the strongest, but Jin found out that it was because she loved the boy, even though he didn't share the same feelings. The others exiled the girl, but they continued to kill each other, and they split into 2 groups and started a war, but they all believed that the other group was being controlled by the enemies of humanity. The school officials left the island, but it didn't stop the war, because there was no definite leader to maintain the power balance. The 2 leaders of the opposing factions were a time stopper and a future seer, and they both claimed to be the strongest, but they were afraid that the other might be stronger. Jin turned into a cat to survive the war, and he went back home after everyone died, but when he met his grandmother, she prayed for his soul since she thought he died fighting the enemies of humanity. He knows that the war was due to their arrogance, but he thinks there was a government conspiracy involved, so he decided to return to the island to investigate it. Nana knows that he won't tell anyone about her actions, since he would need to expose himself to the others, and it could lead to another civil war. He offers to let her do whatever she likes for the time being, and threatens to kill her if she doesn't cooperate with him, but she wants them to be on equal footing before they make a deal. He suddenly falls to the ground since she has poisoned his drink, and as he's about to pass away, he asks her who she will report to, since he's the sole survivor of the war that happened 5 years ago. She takes out her phone to tell everything to the committee, but Koya suddenly grabs her phone, which shocks her, but it turns out to be Jin in disguise. He turns into Michiru and notes that even though he had healed his hand, he still kept a bandage to make her underestimate the extent of his power. He transforms into Seiya and freezes her foot, which makes her realize that he can also copy the power of everyone he turns into, and he explains that it's the reason why he won the war. Nana tells herself to stay calm, because if Jin could really use the power of all the talented, he wouldn't need to deal with her. She asks him why he doesn't just transform into her, since he's interested in what her power is, and as he's distracted by the potential kill count of everyone on her phone, she manages to get away. But he turns into Mogu and sends her flying, and he tells her he had a classmate who thought he was sent by the angels to eliminate them. He used to show them the potential kill count they have, which makes Jin think Nana is the same, and he tells her to call for help. She asks him why he doesn't transform into Yuka and eliminate her, since he would be able to see her memories when she turns into a zombie. He's amazed that she's still trying to find his weakness, and he asks her about her family, since he knows that she won't talk even if he tortures her. So he wants to build trust between both of them, and he promises to let her go if she talks. She mentions that she has a brother, but she doesn't remember him clearly, since he left her when she was young, and her parents were murdered by an enemy of humanity. He knows that she considers the talented as the enemies of humanity, and as she's about to pass out, he notes that she needs to be careful, since the psychopaths on the island will eventually come out. As Nana wakes up, she realizes that she's with Michiru, who immediately hugs her. She tells her that an imposter took her place and went to school yesterday, so Nana notes that she went after him, but she ended up getting hurt. Michiru wonders if she isn't afraid of the enemy, so she notes that she's determined to defeat them, since they were the ones that killed her parents. But she isn't sad about it since it happened a long time ago, but she thinks she needs to make her stories as relatable as possible, so that when she acts out, people will think it's because of her noble vendetta. Michiru apologizes to her since she didn't want to make Nana remember her terrible past, and she runs out of the room, but she comes back and notes that she's there for Nana if she wants to talk. At the funeral of everyone who was killed, Koya tells the teacher that he wants to talk to his higher-ups, but the teacher tells him to stop being pushy. Meanwhile, Nana thinks about the time when the police officers asked her if she left the window open on the night her parents were murdered. So she assures them that she locked it, but they still think the burglar came in from her window. She notices that something's wrong with Michiru, but she assures Nana that she's fine, and explains that she's just sad she couldn't save her classmates. After that, Nana thinks about what to do next, but Jin joins her in the room, and she notes that if he was planning on saving her from the beginning, he should have just healed her. But he explains that he might have died if he used Michiru's power, which makes her realize that he also gets the weakness of the person he transforms into. He asks her if she's satisfied after finding one of his weaknesses, but she mentions that she'll feel more relieved if he gives her back her phone, so he offers to do it if she tells him more about herself. Michiru knocks on her door, so Jin transforms into a cat to hide himself, and Nana knows that she has come there to ask her more about her childhood. She reveals that when she was little, she used to love games like chess, but she always played them alone, since the boys in her class would get angry and refuse to play with her after losing. She mentions that her room was always a mess, and she was obsessed with manga as well, so on the night her parents were killed, she snuck out in the middle of the night to buy a manga. But she forgot to lock the window, and when she came back, she heard the police say it's what the burglar used to break into their house, which is why she feels responsible for her parents' death. The next day, Koya visits Nana in her room, and after Michiru tells him that she was with Nana the whole night, he takes them to the boys' dorm. They see that another student named Ruji was murdered, which surprises Nana, since it means there's another killer among them. Koya asks Mogu if he heard anything, since his room is right next to the crime scene, but he reveals that he was with his friends, and they didn't hear anything since they were listening to his speech. Koya asks them what their powers are, since all of them might have been in it together, which annoys Mogu, but Nana tells them to cooperate. The first one shows that he can copy her voice, as he notes that Mogu is handsome, and he reveals that he needs to say the last thing he said twice to return to his normal voice. The second boy starts to panic when it's his turn, and he suddenly falls silent, but they hear a noise coming from the bathroom. Mogu reveals that he can astral travel, and the boy explains that his mind leaves his body when he gets nervous, which is why he just went to the bathroom. The last boy grabs a clock and reveals that he can turn his body into a magnet, but he hasn't figured out the extent of his power, and Nana asks Koya if he's sure the murder happened last night. So he notes that Ruji was at the funeral yesterday, and his girlfriend Fuko found his body when she came to wake him up. He asks her to tell them about her power as well, so she takes them outside, and reveals that she can channel the atmosphere into offensive attacks. Koya tells her to attack him, so she fires a wind slash that cuts his chest open, but he's still completely fine. She notes that she needs ventilation to use her power, which makes him remember that the window was open in Ruji's room, but before he can ask her anything else, the teacher calls him since the higher-ups are on the phone. Nana returns to Ruji's room, but she notices that something is wrong with Michiro, and as they go to have lunch, she wonders if Michiro learned something about her. She asks Nana what she plans to do after graduating, so she notes that she'll go to college in the city, while Michiro notes she wants to become a doctor. She asks Nana to move to her city after graduation, and notes that she can live with her family, but she becomes angry hearing this, since she just told her what happened to her parents. Nana returns to her room, where she thinks Michiro is acting really strange, and she thinks that the worst possible scenario is that Michiro found out about her crimes. The teacher knocks on her door and gives her a new uniform, revealing that Michiro told him to deliver it to her, which shocks her, since she hid the poison in her uniform. She thinks Michiro found it when she changed her clothes, and Koya wonders if she fought with Michiro, since she came to see him but didn't say anything. He tells Nana to come with him to see Fuko, and the teacher notes that whatever Koya said to the authorities worked, since they're sending someone in. They go to Fuko's room, and Koya asks her what she was doing after the funeral, so she mentions that a friend came to visit her, and they stayed together from midnight till morning. He wonders if Ruji was an early riser, because his alarm was set to 5 a.m., so she notes that he had been getting up early for jogging, which is why he must have been in bed by 11. He wonders why she isn't sure about it, so she mentions that they have been drifting apart, and she thinks it's because he's started to find her boring. He goes to check if she was really with a friend, and she starts to cry after he leaves, asking Nana to help her avenge Ruji. After that, Koya asks Nana if Fuko was telling the truth, but she apologizes since she didn't read her mind. She thinks Fuko couldn't have done it since she was with her friend after midnight, and before that, Mogu and his friends were in the other room, so they would have heard if something happened. But Koya thinks Ruji was murdered during Mogu's speech, and he notes that there were insects in his room, while the lights were still on and the window was open, which means he was killed before he went to bed. She thinks the killer might have broken in through the window after midnight, so Ruji turned on the lights to fight back, but Koya reveals that Ruji's power was to make himself tiny. So he would have shrunk himself instead of fighting or running away, and Koya notes that it's impossible to eliminate him without a sneak attack, which is why he suspects Fuko. He thinks she could have easily snuck up on him, and the mess in the room could have been created using her power, which she used to slash his throat to stop him from screaming. After that, Nana goes to Michiro's room, and Nana looks around while she's in the shower, but she doesn't find the poison. She notices Michiro's diary, and as she starts to read it, she's surprised since she's only wrote good things about her. Jin suddenly appears behind her, and gives her back the poison in the phone, telling her he's disappointed she suspected Michiro. He notes that his goal is to find the person who groomed her into becoming a killer, and he tells her she won't see him for a while since everyone is on alert, so she should take care of Michiro in his absence. He points out how Michiro has been in the shower for too long, so Nana goes to check if she's okay, and she finds her passed out in the bath. She knows that if she leaves Michiro there, she will die on her own, but she thinks it will make her mission harder. She puts Michiro on her bed, and realizes that she's in terrible condition, so Nana wonders what happened to her. She goes to the teacher to ask for the doctor, but he notes that the doctor returned to the HQ, while all the other teachers have gone back to their rooms. He tells her to ask Koya for help, but he's busy examining Ruji's body, so she just gets medicines from him. She goes to the cafeteria to get food and water for Michiro, but it's already closed, so she uses a rock to break in. She heads back to Michiro's room, where Koya joins them, and he thinks Michiro needs to go to a hospital. He tells Nana to keep calling out to her, and he wonders why her room is messy, so Nana explains that she was looking for a change of clothes for Michiro, but he doesn't believe her. Nana spends the whole day taking care of Michiru and wishes she would wake up already, since Koya is distracted at the moment, so it's the perfect time for her to strike. Meanwhile, one of Mogu's friends notes that he's been seeing animals with their throats slit around school, and he wonders if the person who killed Ruji is behind it. Koya thinks the real miracle is that they sat through 5 hours of Mogu's speech, even though Ruji told them to keep it down, but the boy wonders why Koya is going through their trash. Nana is glad that Michiru is getting better, and Fuko also comes to check on her, asking Nana if her wound is healing. But she wonders why Fuko assumed she was injured, so she explains that she thought Michiru was attacked by the person who killed Ruji. She offers to watch Michiru while Nana takes a break, but she refuses Fuko's offer, since she thinks there's a possibility that Michiru was involved in Ruji's murder. She believes that she needs to keep watching Michiru, since Fuko might want to get rid of her to keep her silent, but she thinks that it isn't possible. Michiru finally wakes up, and reveals that the last thing she remembers is that there were 2 cats in her room, but one of them was hurt, so she healed it and went to take a shower. Nana realizes that she's been acting strange lately since she's tired, and Nana wonders why she went to see Koya, so she reveals that she wanted to get medicines. She notices that Nana is hurt, so she wants to heal her, but Nana yells at her since she isn't thinking about her health. She tells Michiru to take care of her hair, but she points out that Nana's hair is also a mess, and Michiru laughs as she starts to panic. Meanwhile, Jin finds Ruji's killer, and he tells them he doesn't care who they eliminate, but he needs them to stop hurting the animals. He reveals that he's an animal lover, and he found a cat that was injured by the killer, so he took it to Michiru. He thinks about how he didn't get any information from Nana's phone, and he believes that the potential kill count is a meaningless number, but someone has convinced Nana that it's important. We see the committee talking about how Nana has killed many of the talented, and they praise her trainer Shiroka, who plans to go to the island since they got a distress call from her. Koya asks one of Mogu's friends if Ruji was seeing someone other than Fuko, but he assures Koya that it isn't true, and notes that Ruji was a gentleman. The boy notes that even though he helped Ruji meet girls, he never went to have fun with them, since he was happy with Fuko. Meanwhile, Nana thinks about killing Fuko next, and making it look like she took her own life, but Michiru asks her to stay a little longer, since she still doesn't know why she fainted. Nana decides to stay there, but she goes to take a shower first, and tells herself to remove any feelings she has for Michiru, since she's worried about how Shiroka would react if he saw the way she's been acting. Nana asks Michiru why she's kind to everyone, including the people who bully her, so she explains that it's because she believes everyone deserves to be saved. Nana asks her who Hitomi is, and notes that she heard Michiru think about her, even though she only read about her in the diary. So Michiru reveals that before she came to the island, a boy in her class scraped his leg, and she healed him, but everyone thought her actions were inappropriate, which made her wish she were normal. She came across a dog that was injured, and Hitomi found her as she healed it, but she tried to run away, since everyone was afraid of Hitomi. She stopped Michiru and praised her for saving the dog, telling her she can help a lot of people with her talent, and she was surprised by how nice Hitomi was. After that, Hitomi starts protecting her from bullies, and one day, she asks Michiru if she could heal her sick mother. So she explains that she can't heal illnesses, but Hitomi still thinks her power is amazing, and she tells Michiru to have confidence in herself. So she works at her father's hospital and starts helping people, but she eventually grows apart from Hitomi. She faints one day after using her power too much, so she's admitted to the hospital, where she's reunited with Hitomi, and she's shocked to learn that Hitomi has cancer. She can't believe Hitomi went to school to protect her instead of resting, so she notes that her desire to help others gives her strength, and she eventually passes away. We return to the present, as Michiru reveals that Hitomi is the reason why she always tries to help others. As Nana leaves the room, she looks at Michiru's potential kill count, and she can't believe that it's over 150,000. Nana thinks about how harsh her foster family was, and they even thought she was responsible for what happened to her parents, since she didn't lock the window. Michiru comes to her room and apologizes for lying to her, since the reason she went to see Koya was to sort out her thoughts, but she didn't tell him anything. She tells Nana to think about the day her parents died, and Michiru asks her if she stepped on anything when she went to the living room, so she denies it but suddenly realizes something. Michiru reminds her that she said her room was a mess when she went to sleep, but it was clean the next morning, which means her parents must have cleaned it after she fell asleep. They always told her to lock the window, so there's no way they would have left it unlocked, but Nana still thinks she's the reason why her parents died. Michiru tells her to stop blaming herself, since she was just a kid when it happened, and she hugs Nana to calm her down. She realizes that the reason Michiru was acting strange is because she was looking for ways to console her, and she tells Nana to stop hating herself. The next day, Nana thinks about getting a gift for Michiru, but Koya suddenly appears behind her, which startles her. He asks for her help to catch the killer, and notes that he still doesn't understand their motive, but she tells him to find evidence first. After that, Nana gives Michiru a pen she bought for her, while Michiru gives her a pillow, telling her to use it to sleep well, which makes her happy. At night, Jin visits Nana in her room, and tells her he saw Michiru heading to an abandoned shed by the sea. So he transformed into Mogu and asked her what she was doing, and she said someone wanted to meet her in secret. Nana runs out of her room, but she knows she won't be able to help Michiru even if she gets there, so she thinks about getting everyone to help her. But she knows she doesn't have the time to explain everything to them, and she decides to ask Koya for help, since he's already on the same page. Meanwhile, the killer slashes Michiru's cheeks, which makes her fall to her knees, and the killer notes that crushing someone as precious as her makes them feel special. Nana gets a call from Suroka, who reminds her that she plans to use the money she will get from completing the mission to open a scholarship fund for kids like her who lost their parents. He finds it commendable that she told them to send her wages to her foster family, who treated her like trash, and he cuts the call after telling her to complete her mission. She recalls that Michiru isn't her friend, since she's an enemy of humanity, so there's no reason to save her. Michiru tries to run away from the killer, but they knock her down, and she thinks Nana will save her, but they tell her it won't happen, since there's an ugly darkness in Nana's soul. The killer throws a knife at her, but Nana protects her with her body, and reveals that the killer is one of Mogu's friends named Rentaro. She explains that his power allows him to astral travel, so he left his body with Mogu, while he went to kill Ruji and open the window, to make sure he could respond in case Mogu called him. Nana stops Michiru from healing her, and as Rentaro stabs her again, she tells Michiru to run away when she distracts him. She notes that he only feels powerful because of his knife, so he becomes upset and stabs her again, but she grabs his hand and tells Michiru to run away. She notes that she's already set a trap for him, so he won't be able to run after Michiru, but she refuses to leave her behind. So Nana tells her they aren't friends, and notes that she has always looked down on her, since she hates whiny losers like her. After Michiru runs away, Rentaro asks Nana about the trap she set for him, so she explains that if it weren't for Michiru, she had planned to let him go on a killing spree and eliminate him at the end. He's annoyed that she played him, and he prepares to finish her off, but he suddenly disappears and returns to his real body, as he realizes Koya is choking him. We see that Nana told Koya that Rentaro was the killer, and she asks for his help, since they need to attack Rentaro's real and astral bodies at the same time. Koya thinks they should ask the others for help, because the mission is extremely dangerous, but she notes that they don't have the time to explain everything to them. In the present, Nana can't believe the situation she's in, but considering the things that she's done, she thinks it's a fitting way for her to die. As she's about to pass away, she thinks about how she finally made a friend, but she's shocked as she sees that Michiru came back. Her body starts to glow as she prepares to save Nana, and she tries to tell Michiru to stop, but she doesn't have the strength left to speak. A huge ray of light comes out of Michiru's body, and she manages to save Nana, but it ends up consuming her life. Nana remembers all the moments that they spent together, and she cries since Michiru was the first friend she ever had. But that's where this video ends. Remember to like and subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.